Yeah, no, earliest memory, I used to live on Bray Hill, so on Portchie Avenue there, so I used to, early morning practice, I would be running to my mum and dad's room, waking them up, and then flat out up to the end of the road, and I just remember watching the bikes. That was the thing, just waking up dead early and then being flat out up to the end of the road.
I was always like around the paddock. My dad used to sponsor Big H, so like I've always been involved around it. So I was always like that kid riding around on a BMX, and when it broke down the skate park, I'd come back up, rob some tools and go back on my push bike. And
every TT week, my dad used to take me up Windy Corner from Laxey on my trials bikes, and we park the van at the bottom and ride up. So that's kind of my earliest memories of watching the mountain course.
Mum and Dad had a couple of friends who lived on Mayhill. It was when Foggy and Hizzy were on the RVF Honda bikes, and they come out together on the road and wheelied up just over the crest. It was just brilliant to see.
I've always wanted to be a road racer. It was never about being a circuit racer.
I didn't really know at the time, but I think something in me was like, yeah, I want to do that. And then,
you know, from even, I'd say the first day, you sit there and you watch the speed of it and you think, I want to do it.
Over time, I was obviously watching every single year and stuff. And
as you're a kid, it's a bit of a myth, isn't it? You know, you're not 100% certain you're going to do it, but
living kind of on Bray Hill, and you can't really take it in, but it just looked like something I wanted to do.
I don't really remember not having the bug for it.
Riding it or racing it never entered my head until probably 2004. I was on motocross bikes from 4. 2 wheels is always where I wanted to be, so the ACU actually, they changed the rules, so you could be 13 and ride a non-cassette gearbox 125 GP bike. So I was 13 at that stage where I was like, right, that's what I'm going to do. I had big aspirations and dreams of being, world champion on a circuit, and you've got to have dreams, haven't you? You've got to have focus and goals and what have you. And then we went to the Northwest 200, and we had like 3 or 4 days mega crack at the Northwest watching. That was my sort of turning point in my head. I thought, I wouldn't mind a go at this. Yeah, the road racing light bulbs was slowly starting to come on there, so, and then 06, that's when I did my first road race.
Conor Cummins, the long, tall Manxman, really coming on strong here.
I didn't think I would be doing what I'm doing now. I thought I wanted to have a go at it and then see how we go. There's been a lot of opportunities that have come out just purely by doing road racing, but obviously not just taking part. You have to be competitive and be at the sharp end, so I've got a lot to be thankful to road racing for sure.
What's it mean to you as a Manx man, as a rider, to get on the podium here in your home turf?
It's a big deal. All as Manx boys, we try so hard to get to the top of our game. It's hard for us to get off the island and all. We just get our heads down, just keep going and going. But hopefully, this will boost a motorcycle on the Isle of Man.
The advantage of being from here would be, I would say, just in the learning process of the course.
Definitely as a newcomer, I think it's an advantage. You know the layout of the track a lot more, you see what's going on in daily life. I think it really helped me last year, yeah.
So I started laps like quite early on, and obviously from the UK you have to come over, hire a car. When I flicked the switch, I went, right, I'm going to do it. I thought I need to put some homework into this. So that's when the old trusty Vauxhall Corsa came to life, and I just did lap after lap.
You've got all year, and you're just living and breathing the TT. It's all you focus on. And
what's next kind of comes natural. You have to more think about where you are on the road or what you're doing with the bike, opposed to, oh, does it go left or right? If that makes sense.
You know, even like the little bits of change of tarmac here and there, and I think local knowledge, it's just, you know what corner's coming up next, so you've got to learn then how to race it. But if you just come here and you've got to learn what corner's coming up next and to race it, it's got to be a disadvantage.
It's a total misconception. Because you're from the Isle of Man, you've got a really good advantage. I understand why they're thinking like that, but it only helps for when you're actually learning the course.
There's a lot of advantages and disadvantages of being from the Isle of Man. There's probably more disadvantages of being from the Isle of Man than there is advantages that people don't realise.
Like when people come over for the TT, they kind of say how, they've got to get from the UK to here. But that's kind of once or maybe twice, depending on what events they're doing. Whereas every time we want to do something other than Derby, you've got to do that trip, and then it's a bit of a grind, because if you finish the race and you could be 2 hours away from your home if you live in the UK or whatever kind of drive you've got, but we've kind of got to do a drive and then the boat and stuff, and it adds on to the cost and adds on to the whole, not getting back till 6 in the morning on Monday and then straight back into work. It just kind of grinds on you sometimes doing that.
It's a big commitment from not just yourself but your team, your family, because it's never just a weekend, it's always 4 or 5 days minimum. I think everyone on the Isle of Man, because everyone loves it and you're so involved, you'll do what you have to do to make it happen.
There's a lot of locals coming through, actually. It's very good to see. Very, very good to see.
I genuinely think there's, off the top of my head, 5 or 6 local Manx lads capable of running in the top 10, like now or in the very next couple of years. Certainly in the kind of twins and 600 classes, and even into the bigger classes as well.
So there's both the Kringle lads.
Now, Ryan and Jamie, we've been mates for too long, to be fair.
Ryan's a little bit older, but Jamie's similar age. I started motocross in 2009, coming from a trials background, and we used to have some great races at the motocross. And
I think Ryan had a fantastic year last year, considering he'd never done a road race before.
I knew he'd go well. I knew he'd do similar to lap time, what he did on 600, definitely.
I think what he did in TT23 was a fantastic performance for his first ever TT, to be lapping at 126 mile an hour.
He's one of the people, like I said, I think we can capable of running in the top 10 at TT in the coming years.
People don't realise how hard that actually is to do, and I think what he done in his first TT was a fantastic performance.
They can both turn hands to everything, motocross, trials, push bike, whatever we do, that they're both very good at. Jamie, he's had a few rough years at TT, but I think he's definitely got loads more to prove. And
he had a good newcomers year, and then I think he had a few issues last year, which was unfortunate for him. So I expect to see Jamie bounce back a bit harder this year.
Joe and Marcus went very well last year. I was around at the Manx as well. I was watching, I was keeping an eye on things, and the lap speeds are very strong for newcomers. Fantastic, actually.
Joe, again, I just remember him from the motocross. He was like a tiny lad on the motocross bikes, and just all of a sudden he's doing road racing. And yeah, he's a smart lad as well. And
Joe was 122 mile an hour. That was impressive. Again, first Manx Grand Prix.
But he's a madman. But yeah, I like it. I like people who are just willing to just give it absolutely everything. But like, fair play to him, he does really well. Really impressive. And
I think he will surprise a lot of people at TT24.
Marcus has kind of come on the scene a bit later. He didn't really do much trials and motocross when we were younger, so I've only kind of got to know him since I started racing.
I know Marcus has been spending a lot of time out in Spain, because I saw him when I was out there testing at Andalusia.
Running in all classes and capable of doing well in all those classes, so yeah, strong lineup. What do I know about him? He's tall. He's like pushing Conor for height.
He rides a Yamaha.
Yeah, so I didn't really know a lot about George until he came to the TT last year.
I don't really know. I actually don't know anything about him.
I'm George Halliday. I live on the Isle of Man, mainly for the attraction of the TT. That's what brought my family over here. Dad used to race, and I've been coming over since I was probably about 3 or 4 years old, watching in the hedges, coming over every year religiously.
From what he did at the TT last year, I'd say he surprised me a little bit. He took his time and learned and finished in a good place.
And obviously we've got Nathan.
So like Nathan, I really want to see Nathan do well. Unfortunately, he hurt himself at Northwest last year.
Obviously he's fortunate enough to be in factory Honda.
Done really well, again, he had a really bad injury, a couple of bad injuries at Derby and stuff like that, so it's another thing that people could easily just knock on the head and go. So for him to come back to riding, he's kind of really really pressed on and really done really well for the last couple of years.
He was super unlucky last year, Nathan, with the injuries he got at the Northwest, but what he did in his first year at the TT was, I think, about 128 mile an hour, was it, on a big bike? But yeah, that was incredible, really.
Yeah, Mikey Evans, you know, he's been plying his trade for a number of years now, Manx Grand Prix winner. It's strong, it's looking good.
I think he just keeps himself to himself a lot, and does his own thing, really.
Yeah, he definitely goes below the radar. On the small bikes, he is fantastic. I think on the big bikes, he's great, but I think he struggles a bit with maybe the size of him. Not saying the machinery he's had has not been great, but if he got some top machinery for the Super Sport and Super Twin races, I think he would upset a few people.
I had a similar path to Mikey, starting from the Manx Grand Prix. He did the junior and senior double as well, a couple of years earlier than me. He can really ride a 600, and I think, like you say, he's going to keep going and progressing, like, race by race at TT.
The amount of people we have who are Manx entered now at TT is obviously, it's quite exciting, to be fair, for everyone out there, but you know, hopefully everyone keeps a cap on and takes one step at a time, and the long game, hopefully somebody can get to that top step for us.
It's tricky because you're always in competition, especially with Manxies, I think.
It's not just you want to beat them because they're local, you want to beat everyone. No one's here rocking up at the TT thinking, I want to finish last.
Other people, other Manx riders, there's a lot of rivalry, good rivalry.
I want to beat everyone, but I really want to beat the Manxies.
Between a lot of us, there's no bad blood. All of us get on well. We all want to beat each other. My perspective of it is it's quite a nice rivalry. I think that's special. It's not a bad thing, but it's an added pressure to be, you know, the fastest kind of Manx up-and-coming lad.
But on the other hand, I really want to see Manx people do well.
The bottom line is, if someone didn't have a spare part and I had it in the van, I'd give it to them. And I'd like to think that they do the same for me. And at the end of the day, we're all Manx, we all want to help each other, and that's my perspective of the whole thing.
Obviously, the comeback after his crash, that, you know, would be no shame to knock it on the head, to not ride after that. You know, it's
regardless whether it's Ian Hutchinson or Conor, like to come back from what they've come back from. It's not just a case of falling off and breaking your leg, is it? You know, to come back and what they've achieved, and Conor and what he's come back to now, and
you got like Hickman, Harrison, Dunlop. It was kind of that, and you know, Conor's kind of almost forgotten about sometimes, and he's there amongst the best there's ever been. So, you know, stuff like that is really impressive, very impressive.
He has overcome that, and he's come back, and he's still like, I know they talk about the other three, but I'd say he's top three man at the TT. Every race that he's finished in recent years, I know last year he had a bit of an illness, but look at the senior race before, he was third. So,
you know, to be on the podium every year fighting for that thing, and with just that little bit more luck, he's there, isn't he? I think he's kind of everyone's kind of hero to look up to, isn't he? You know, because he's been the one for all them years that have been so close. I think all of us are just behind him to try and get him to win one.
I know what I've got to do. I know how to go about my business, and even more so at TT. I'll just be the keys to push hard and try and achieve what I want to achieve.
Whoever's good enough on the day is good enough on the day, and that's just the way it goes.
You know, you've got to have a bit of luck that day, haven't you? And anything can happen around here.
There can only be one winner. I've been trying. I continue to try and win.
I think people don't realise what Conor's achieved. He almost goes sometimes under the radar a bit.
I don't really know what else to say about it. I want him to win one.
He's due one. He deserves one.
I would love him to win one. I'd hate to see him hang up the boots and not win a TT. He deserves it.
It's almost, he doesn't get the praise and the recognition for it I think he deserves.
Well, obviously, everyone's dream really is to win, isn't it?
The dream's to win. That's the only target. That's all I'm doing it for. I want to win. I think I just don't. I don't complicate it. I know what I want to do. You just got to be the best person rider on the day.
Oh, if Conor won a TT, the place would go mad. Everyone wants to see a local win, and there's so many of us in this now, and you know, we'd all love to see Conor win, I'm sure.
On the way into Ramsey in the final lap, it'd be pretty exciting for him, but yeah, I don't know, it's hard to say. I think the roof would get blown off a bit, wouldn't it?
But yeah, I think everyone would be chuffed to bits for Conor as well, and especially up in Ramsey.
I think if he was to win a TT, the whole island would just be absolutely bouncing.
I think it'd go mental, wouldn't it?
Conor's been there on the grasp of it for so long, I think everyone would actually be made up for him, and I'd certainly be one of them.
I think it would be massive, you know, massive. I think it's a massive thing for the Isle of Man to have been that long without anyone winning one, with lads that were up there and could have easily have won one. I think it's a massive thing for the Isle of Man, and you know, it'd be amazing to see.
I'd be so happy as well for him. I'd be so happy in general, actually, for there to be a Manx winner.
I appreciate all the support I get. There's a huge local following for the TT. Obviously, I know there's a lot of people rooting for me, and yeah, I don't like talking up too much, to be honest, because if it's going to happen, it's going to happen, and it's down to me to make it happen. But if it did, it'd be, I don't know what I'd do. It'd be ace. I'd be well happy. I'm sure a lot of others would be happy as well. So hopefully we can piece it together, and hopefully we can make it happen.